Hello YouTubers, Yid Elder here. I want to talk about today, periodization. And what I want to focus on is, for those of you who, besides commuting to work or whatever you use your bike for those of you who ride your bike for fitness, how do you train year in, year out without getting burned out? It's an important thing. The key is knowing how to build rest cycles into your training and having a training program. We set up training programs for all our riders that we coach, and we give them cycles within the week, what we call micro cycles, and macro cycles for the monthly cycle, and we give them an annual plan. So for example, October, the month that just passed, was a month where you were supposed to back off your training, season's over, take a minimum of 2 weeks and rest. And what does that mean, rest? It doesn't mean stop riding your bike. What it means is no training, no heart rate monitors, no power meters. When you feel like riding, you just go out and you ride your bike. Now, you want to ride the bike at least every other day, okay? So that muscle memory stays there and you don't get too out of shape. Because cycling is something the body forgets very quickly. So what it means is, in the space of a week, you maybe could ride Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as opposed to 5 days a week that you used to do in season. And you do that for a couple of weeks. And then you back off from the real hard group rides. You know, maybe it's time to spend more time with the family, you know, or do some other hobby that you've been neglecting. You do that most of the month of October. And starting November, then you get back to start your base training for the new year, meaning zone 1 and 2, steady distance, not slow, just steady. You go out a couple of hours here and there in your legs. And weekends you can do more. You know, like today was Sunday, we went out and we did 3 hours. Not on the rivet, just easy and to where we could have a conversation. Very nice, steady ride. You know, you do that, and this base training can run anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. So by the end of December, you should be at the point where you're ready now in January to ramp it up a little bit and start doing some hills and so forth. It all depends on what your goals and objectives are. For me, I race sparingly. Every now and then I'll do a race. So I'm not competing like I used to when I raced. So I follow the program where I rest the month of October, and mid-November I start back ramping up steady rides, and by the end of December I'm ready to start increasing from that steady base and building on all the progress I made last year. Now what that does for you is, mentally and physically, it allows you to recharge yourself, and your body gets a chance to absorb the training that you've been giving it. And that's not the only rest. Throughout the year, every 6 weeks, you get a week where you rest. And so throughout the year, you build up, you rest, you go back stronger after the rest. If you don't do that, what ends up happening is you're either riding at one speed all year, and at some point you get bored with it. You're doing the same thing, and you're not going to improve. If you do the same thing all the time with no rest, you will not improve. If you're going medium, you know, medium effort all the time, you're not stressing your body enough. And then because you're riding somewhat hard all the time, your body never recovers. Because say in a micro cycle of a week, if every day you go out and ride at the same effort, your body will just stay tired. So it never rests to absorb the training so you can come back at a higher level. But if you're out there and you're a rider with a plan, and you know that today I'm supposed to take it easy, even if I'm on the bike, and you just twiddle little gears just to keep yourself loose, that allows your body to come back and rebuild the muscles stronger. And then when you go hard, you're fresh enough to go really hard. Because you should either be going easy or hard. Because if you don't allow the body to rest, you will not get to optimize the levels that you can reach. I mean, if all you do is ride somewhat hard, then that's all you'll know. So then if you hook up with a group that goes really hard, you're either going to be too tired to go hard, or your body's not going to even know that level because you never got there. You know, when you go hard, you need to give it full gas and go hard. When you go easy, it needs to be easy. No strain, no pain, just spin. You know, that's a day where you make sure your shoe feels right or your new shorts feel right or whatever. Just easy, easy. Don't go out on an easy day and try to follow somebody who's going faster than your plan called for. So the question is, do you have a plan? If you don't have a plan, you need to get one. Either get a book on training or find some local coach to help you. Because if you want to improve, you need to train. Now, if you're somebody who only rides your bike for commuting, that's fine. What it means is you can't ride super fast every day of the week to work. You might pick maybe Wednesday or Friday to go fast to work, and the rest of the time get up a little early and take it easy so your body gets to recover. Because if you commute in, work out, whether it's mountain biking or road riding on the weekends, you've got to plan your commutes to where on the days you plan on going hard, you're fresh enough to go really hard on the way to work if you're using your commute for training. You know, and even if you're not using the commute for training, you can't ride super hard every day. It's just not possible. You know, if you try to drive your car at top speed all the time, even if you could, at some point the engine will break. You know, you got to back off. You got to give it a break. So I just wanted to cover that today and talk about this because a lot of people just ride and do the same thing all year and then they get bored with it. As much as I love cycling, if every day the weather was predictable, I'd be bored with it. I do the same courses, I do the same routes. What makes them interesting is some days that wind is in my face, blowing with a vengeance. Some days it's behind me. Some days it's from the side, you know, or the temperature is different. That's what makes it interesting, the changes, you know. So don't focus on speed, focus on your effort. What are you putting out? You know, what is your goal? If you have a goal. If you don't have a goal and you say, I just like riding my bike, that's okay too. That's a goal, to like riding your bike. But if you're finding that you're not liking riding your bike, reevaluate what you've been doing. Okay, so be safe on the roads, and thanks for tuning in. If you need more details about coaching, I can help you. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're an aspiring racer, you want to get faster, send me a note, drop me a line. That's what we do here. We build racers. Okay, so thanks for tuning in and be safe out there.